Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Hot for Teacher. The thing about Hot for Teacher is that normally I get a little bit dressed up and we pretend like this is the intimate time between you and your office hours teacher who normally talks about role-playing games. But it is hot around here right now. And I don't have the energy to get all dressed up in my button-up whatever. I can't listen. Instead of teacher is hot this time. It's not just hot out. So instead of that, you're gonna get hot for t-shirt. Also, today's episode is brought to you by it's summer, so I'm drinking a beer at 10 a.m. because it's mostly juice, so that's okay. I'm drinking this beer called Love Buzz, which I thought was appropriate. So welcome to another exciting episode of Hot for T-shirt. I'm Adam Coble. What is this? What's going on? Why are we having this conversation? The answer is because you have questions about relationships and how they work and your quandaries and conundrums and troubles with those relationships. I have them too. We all do. And you have submitted some questions to me. And I'm going to answer them. And we're going to just hang out and talk about relationships, which is to say that acknowledging the sort of semi-unidirectional, I'm going to talk about them. And hopefully you will talk amongst yourselves about them and I will watch you. It's a very complicated method of, especially if you're watching this not live, you're missing out on a big chunk of you could leave comments, I suppose. Anyway, that's what Hot for Teacher is. It's a call in, write in, whatever relationship advice show. It's a spinoff of office hours, which we've been doing for a long time. We've been doing this one for less of a long time. And we're just going to hang out for an hour and talk about the ways in which human beings interact. Specifically, the way in which three human beings interact, though not with each other. That would be weird if you all knew each other. If you want to get in on the fun, if you want to submit your questions, www.adam-coble.com. There's a Hot for Teacher link. Click that, fill out the form, submit it. It will add your question to the list, and hopefully I'll be able to answer it, or a question like it in the future. Really, though, what I want is for you to be involved, for this to be conversational, right? And I acknowledge that we can't all sit down together and have a functional conversation about it, but please let today's episode and every subsequent episode of Hot for Teacher inspire you to be more open about your feelings and your thoughts about your relationships. Talk about this stuff because it's important. Now, if you're watching this live, it is the 17th of July. And that's important because I want to talk about yesterday. I want to talk about the 16th because I have a relationship that I would like to discuss. And it is my relationship with other people that work for the same company that I do. Now, my main source of income is a little website called twitch.tv. Now, on Twitch, I broadcast myself talking about various topics, playing role-playing games, playing video games, and in exchange for creating that content, you, maybe, or someone next to you, subscribes to my channel at a specific rate. So you choose an amount of money that you would like to give me every month for that content, and also cute little emotes of my face and what have you. And that's how I make my money. That's how I live. That's what pays the bills. Predominantly. I have other stuff that I do that I get paid to do, but it's all kind of around the same stuff. So that is my job. Twitch is owned by a company called Amazon. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you've heard of Amazon. Amazon is an enormous company. It is owned and operated by literally now the richest man on earth, which I guess good job Jeff Bezos for winning capitalism. And so Amazon owns lots of stuff, but they are known for their online, their online retail operations more than anything. So you go to their website and you buy things, and then those things magically show up at your house very quickly, depending on where you live. But the processes of getting those retail objects from Amazon to your house require human beings. It requires people in warehouses throughout the world very quickly pulling objects from shelves, putting them in boxes, taping those boxes up, and then sending them your way. As you can imagine, an operation of that size requires a lot of people. There's a lot of labor involved, a lot of laborers. And as with many operations of capitalism, the actual magic is low-paid workers who are not often treated the way we would like to be treated. Now, I'm not saying I am living a bourgeois existence much further up the capitalist pyramid, but there is a degree there, at least in my mind, in my heart, of solidarity. Right? We all are laborers. We all are workers. We are all making things or providing services for people. That relationship between workers, particularly workers who work for the same company or the same boss, is called solidarity. Solidarity is the interaction. You can see solidarity in lots of different places, but I think most people think of solidarity as like sort of a labor concept, right? And one way that we can express our solidarity, our co-support for other people who are also people who work, is through collective action. Collective action, most normally operated through something like a union, that sort of thing. But the idea is that if all workers see each other as being people that rely on co-support, that we will all be better off for it. That even though my job and the job of workers in a warehouse in Madrid are not directly connected, we both suckle at the mighty teats of Jeff Bezos, and so we are in a way allies. So yesterday was an interesting day for capitalism, because it was announced that the aforementioned Jeff Bezos, our Amazon overlord, is the richest person on Earth. It was also announced that it was Amazon Prime Day, a holiday of Amazonian capitalism, in which deals were made available. It's also a time where Amazon workers get worked extra hard because it's a big sale day. And so in response during this day, focused on Madrid particularly, but across Europe, workers who work in Amazon warehouses decided to strike, to take action in order to draw attention to their cause, which is to say better pay, better working environment, et cetera, et cetera. The kinds of things that unions and collective action and collective bargaining have been used to obtain since I'd say time immemorial, but not really, like the Industrial Revolution. If you have a 9-to-5 work day, if you have a 5-day work week, if you have a 40-hour work week, you can thank collective bargaining and unions for that. If you get paid vacations, if you get sick days, you can thank unions for that. So workers at Amazon decided to strike in order to obtain additional benefits, and I'm hoping that goes well for them. And for my part, and we've talked about this a little bit on stream once or twice. I don't like strike breaking. I don't like being a scab, and I don't think scabby behavior is very good. So when a strike goes up, it means that everyone that works in a place stops working, and sometimes companies will either bribe or cajole or convince either workers that are already working there or external contractors to break the strike line, right? To come in and do the job of the people whose job it already is, because they refuse to work. So let's just go get somebody else who'll do that. That's called scabbing. If you do that, you are a scab, and it sounds nasty because it is. Because basically, they're using workers to undermine each other. Now, technically, streaming on Twitch wouldn't be strike breaking. I could probably, in relatively good conscience, have worked yesterday for Big Papa Bezos, and it wouldn't have made too much of a difference. But instead, I chose not to. I chose not to stream, and instead try to draw attention to the workers' strike in Madrid, and on a larger scale, draw attention to the way that folks that work at Amazon are treated. So, it's a personal choice. Obviously, not everyone did this. It wasn't about a boycott. It wasn't about trying to bring down Amazon by way of Twitch. It was just that for me, my conscience, I was like, as I get older, I care about less and less stuff, right? My list of things that I give a shit about gets shorter and shorter every year. My world becomes smaller and smaller. But yesterday, reading about the strike and thinking about that, I realized, like, I actually still really care about that stuff. I really care about, like, people being exploited for their labor. I have a relationship, however distant, with the people that work in these services. And so, I used my platform to try to draw attention to that. So that's just a thing. That's a relationship thing I wanted to talk about. I think relationships, and we'll talk about this later in this episode, relationships with your coworkers, not just as people, but as your working class, is a significant form of relationship. Yeah. And so that's a thing. And like, as with any form of protest, it's hard because it could very easily be nothing. It could be irrelevant. But there are people who engaged with this topic who wouldn't have otherwise. And that's what matters to me. That's what mattered to me, right? Was to be able to talk about it, to say, I am canceling my stream for this purpose, and to have that conversation on social media. There was some good stuff on Twitter yesterday. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in like workers' rights and unions and specifically the Amazon stuff, do some Googling, look around, learn about your particular industry, learn about the work that you do, learn about the way that the owners and CEOs of the companies that you are interested in treat their workers, because a company that mistreats their workers is not a very good company. IMO. Yeah. So that's a thing, just a thing that I wanted to bring up, just to kind of like talk about a bit, because I didn't get a chance really yesterday on my Twitch channel. So yeah, all right, let's talk about your questions. What is going on with you today on this hot ass summer day? Let's see. Our first question comes to us from Skunk Judge. So Skunk Judge is either a judge for skunks, or maybe a judge who is a skunk. You know what? It doesn't matter. Whoever you are, Skunk Judge, here's your question. So Skunk Judge says, one of my best friends is someone who I've never met in person and lives on the opposite side of the country. I'm sure lots of us feel and know this. But I've known them for close to a decade. They're one of my favorite people. I love talking to them, but we really only talk every 2 or 3 months. I was describing this to another friend of mine, and the question of what really makes someone your best friend came up. Do you think that there are quantifiers on what makes a friendship? I think technically this would be a qualifier, but yeah, I don't. Okay, so how do we qualify and quantify friendships? I think, and this is, I'm not trying to put down Skunk Judge or anyone who feels like they have a best friend or whatever, that's fine. But I think conceptually, having a best friend is like having a favorite color. Like, it only really matters to you if you're 5. Like, it's not a real value call on a person. The idea of like, there's this inherent, if we take this really seriously, if we're like, this person is my best friend, that means that everybody else in your life is somehow like not as good or valuable as a friend. Like, yes, it's nice and reassuring to tell a person like, you're my best friend, and for them to be like, you're my best friend. But then, like, what about all your other friends? Like, fuck them, I guess. Like, cool, this is my best friend. You're all lower in the list, and I don't care as much about you. So, I mean, yeah, best friend is sort of I hate the term. But I do think that we tend to qualify people in our lives in terms of their distance from us, right? Like, intimacy is a way that we judge whether or not someone is our bestie, right? I think for me, I measure in terms of time, right? Like, how much time I spend with someone can definitely indicate how much I value them. And I don't mean spending time with them in person. I mean, how much like mental and emotional energy do I expend on this person as expressed through the time I spend thinking about and engaging with and talking to and supporting them as a person. I could, and this is the thing, because time is a measurable, without getting too like metaphysical about it, time is a measurable thing, right? We can say, I spent X amount of time doing things related to this person, and Y amount of time with this other person. And you could definitely, if you wanted to be this kind of friend, I don't need any friends like this, but if you wanted to be this kind of friend, you could like make a spreadsheet and be like, all right, in the last month, I have expended this much time on a person, and here we go. Here's the rankings. I'm gonna post them on Facebook. I think though, the trick though here is that it's not about just time spent. It's about value for time. I have friends where we hang out once a year, and I value their friendship very, very deeply. And there are people, and this is less true actually now than it used to be, but there are people who I interact with regularly, and I don't necessarily consider them to be my like core friends. So I guess the real thing here is, let's turn this question inward, Skunk Judge. Let's turn this inward. Don't look at other people and what makes them best friends. Think about what you value as a person. And the reason why I think that this is important is because this will also be the way that you express friendship. And knowing that and being able to express that to someone is huge. Because I will say this, what often happens is the stuff that we consider. I've had this happen. I'll give you an example. We'll open the door to Adam's existence, and I'll give you an example from real life. So for me, time spent, like I just said, time spent is a measure of care, of intimacy, right? Like, if I am spending time with a person, it's because I want to be around them and they are valuable to me. Whether it's talking to them on the internet, right? If I'm like, yeah, I will make 20 minutes to like have a chat with you on Discord, right? I will talk to you on Facebook Messenger 30 times today, back and forth, while I'm doing other stuff. Or if it's in person, right? Like I will come and hang out with you. We'll go see a movie together. We'll do things. That immediately puts someone into a higher level of value for me. Like, that's how I express caring about someone, is spending time with them. However, not everybody receives that information the same way. So for me, the coded secret language of time spent is, I care about you. Whereas for other people, spending time around someone is a de facto, like, a given. Like, you just do that. This is, and I think the binary divide between introvert and extrovert is sort of false, but this can be an introvert-extrovert problem, where I think with extroverts, it's like, I'm just around people all the time. That just charges me up. Whereas I'm like, I never want to be around people. So if I'm around you, I must really like you. I must care about you deeply. Because I don't have that much time in my life. And spending that much time being with a person it's a whole thing. So the way that I express care, what makes someone a good friend, one of my qualifiers on what makes a friendship, may not necessarily match someone else. So knowing that, and I will ask you to ask yourself this, Skunk Judge, what makes someone feel like a friend to you? And do you express that well? Like, is that something you're expressing to these people that you're spending time with? Because if it's not, it might as well not matter, right? Like, if writing someone an email, for example, is like deeply meaningful and powerful to me, but the other person that is receiving that email doesn't know it, I'm throwing all this emotional energy into their relationship, and they are just, it's bouncing off, right? Because they're like, oh, cool, an email, click, repeat, whatever. So I do not think, and I think this is probably fair to say, I do not think that there is a universal scale for friendship. I think that there is a socialized normative expression of what makes someone feel like they have intimacy. It generally goes like, you don't know them, and then like talking, or like that first meeting, getting to know them better, following them on social media, spending time in person, spending lots of time in person, sharing intimate information, and then that kind of like, for a lot of friendships, that freezes it. That's the ceiling, because to get above that ceiling, you need to fuck. Right? Like, I think that for the traditional understanding of friendship, you hit the sex barrier, or you hit the romance barrier, but I don't actually believe that that's how people interact. Don't, like, the fuck ceiling is not real. I think the thing here is that I would like to encourage you, Skunk Judge, to just be excited about this relationship. Like, it sounds to me like you have this really awesome relationship with this person, right? Like, you've known them for like 10 years, which, Jesus Christ, I can list the number of people that I'm still friends with after 10 years on one hand. One hand, right? So that's cool. That's maybe that's valuable to you. You straight up said they're one of your favorite people. You love talking to them. That's great. But you only talk every 2 or 3 months. But I don't care. That doesn't matter. Does it matter to you? Do you want to talk to them more? Then do it. Don't feel pressured to have a certain kind of relationship, or to have your relationship bend just because you think that it should. Because that's dumb. That's stupid. Don't do that. Don't let anybody do that to you either. Value what you have because you care about it, because you like it. And that's I think all that matters, right? Is that you can build your relationships the way you want them to. And I would just say, like, we don't need to qualify who our best friends are. Like, what good is that doing for anyone, right? Maybe it's reinforcing for this person, like, you're my best friend. Oh, that's nice. But, like, what about all your other friends? That's sort of mean. So just, like, let everyone be their own thing for you. Now, for me, a problem that I can sometimes run into with that, because that's very much my attitude, is that every relationship is a relationship with me, right? It's me and that person. So my life tends to be, I'm here in the middle. I would draw you a diagram, but I'm not set up for that. So I'm here in the middle, and I have friendships with people on a line. I don't really care about creating a web of friendships. I don't need my friends to know or like each other. That's just not something that's a priority for me. But some people build intimacy that way, right? Some people are like, I would feel closer to you if I were part of your network of friends, if you introduced me to your other friends, so that we could all be a community of people together. So that's hard. That's hard for me personally. And that's why role-playing games are so fucking cool. Because role-playing games, you can be like, hi, I'm Adam. These 4 people are awesome, and I love them. Let's all do a cool thing together. Oh, guess what? Now you all have something in common that isn't just about me. That's fun. That's what I like. And that's, for me, the best way to introduce people to each other is group activities. But otherwise, in my personal life, I don't do that, because it isn't something that I like value or desire on my own. I don't need to know other people's friends. Like, if we're close and you want to introduce me to your friends, cool, but I'm not going to ask for that. I got enough friends. I don't need yours. again, like, I think the whole thing here is that what makes someone a best friend sort of is irrelevant. Go looking for good friends. Go looking for close friends. Go looking for intimacy wherever you can find it, because the world is a cold, dark, inhospitable, shitty place most of the time. And if we try only to get this very specific kind of friendship, if we spend all of our time trying to quantify and qualify our friendships, we are just probably going to feel sad and alone. So instead, embrace this relationship that you have. It's obvious the two of you care deeply about each other. You're having a great time. Every 2 or 3 months, you have a great time talking. That's it. That's a friendship. You don't need to dig too much harder than that. I don't know. I feel like that's all there is to be said about best friends. They don't really exist. In the same way that, like, true love is not a thing, right? Just, like, have friends, appreciate them for what they are. Some of them include some activities, some of them don't. Sometimes you're around people all the time, sometimes you're not. Figure out what makes friendship feel good to you and then just do that. Seems like common sense advice to me, but it's nice to be able to reinforce it. Now, we were talking a little bit earlier. We were talking about relationship with our coworkers, but I think that this question, it starts there, but it's about a bigger thing. Let's have this conversation. So, Sir Raftalot of Castle Raftalot has asked, in some of my work relationships, there are some people who display prejudice, race, gender, age, poverty, and I believe them to be good people and want to help steer them towards understanding and compassion instead of bigotry. What are your strategies for tackling this behavior without triggering the backfire effect? Okay. All right. Couple of quick things here. So, good people, philosophically irrelevant. I think that in this case, it's often used as an excuse, like, oh, my coworker used the N-word in a casual conversation. But, like, he's still a good person. Or like, oh, my boss thinks that trans people are mentally ill, but, like, he's still a good person. I just don't think it's useful to qualify good or bad, because we've talked about this before. If we start qualifying good or bad people, then we start to associate certain behaviors with only good or bad people. We get into these confused situations where it's like, well, they're fundamentally a good person, even if they occasionally say something racist. Or they're fundamentally a bad person because they did this bad thing. This is how we get confused about things like sexual assault, right? Like, well, my boyfriend is like a nice guy most of the time, except sometimes when I don't want to have sex, he doesn't listen to me, right? Like, he's still a nice guy, though. He's still a good, right? Like, he's a good person. This is how we perpetuate cycles of abuse, and it's this whole thing. So I just don't think looking at people as being fundamentally good or fundamentally bad in any way, either to excuse them or to save them or whatever, is just useful. So let's just, like, bundle up that idea, and we'll just put it away in the we're not thinking about this closet. So what we are talking about and thinking about is this desire to be around people who are compassionate, who are understanding, who are not bigots. And how do we get there? Now, it's important that we talk about this in terms of work relationships, because there are, I think, all kinds of complex strategies or approaches depending on the relationship we have with these people. So what Sir Raftalot is doing here is he's establishing my relationship with them involves work. It is a capital driven relationship, which means these people are either comrades in the sense that you might all belong to the same level of the hierarchy, but there may be the complication that this could be you are dealing with your boss or you're dealing with a subordinate in this case. It's not clear, but I think that that's important to take into account because unlike what one hopes for in non-capitalist relationships, there's a hierarchy. There's a clear, defined hierarchy, which establishes an etiquette of this kind of thing. A couple of other quick things before we really dig into it. The backfire effect. The backfire effect here is when you are like, hey, man, talking about women in a derogatory way is not cool. And they're like, oh, yeah? I guess you must be gendered slur. Right? This is a thing that happens. This is the, please don't use the N-word. It's not okay. And they're like, oh, what are you? Some kind of social justice warrior? Cool. Are you also a gay? Fuck all that. I mean, this is people's defensiveness kicking in. This is the like, this is how this goes, right? I say something I think is okay, right? You see this on the internet all the time. I use a homophobic slur to deride an opponent in a video game. I don't do that. Please, for the love of God, don't. I'm going to pretend to be someone worse than me. Because that's what my friends do. My entire social structure reassures me that that's fine. That if someone is bad at a video game, they're probably a fag, right? They're probably a queer. This is a word that I just use. When someone calls me on that and they're like, hey, whoa, that is extremely not okay for you to use that word. You do not do that. That's like, I don't care your intent. Like, that's hurtful language. And they're like, yeah, but all my friends do it. See above, using the N-word if you are from like a Scandinavian country where they're like, there are just no black people here and we just use this word to like make fun of people. I saw a quote recently on Twitter. A streamer said, and I cannot believe this is a real quote, and I'm going to use a couple of, there's an ableist and a homophobic slur in the next sentence that I'm going to use. I want to illustrate the kind of attitude that sometimes comes up. So a streamer who is taken to task for using a homophobic slur to make fun of people, in his defense said, I just say fag when I want to call people retards. What the fuck? So this is the attitude that people have because that's the social structure that they are in. So it can be very upsetting and confusing. It can put people on the defensive because you're telling them, hey, you know, that thing that you think is okay, you are wrong. You're wrong about that. You are being hurtful. You are wrong. So they respond by doubling down. No, I'm not wrong. In fact, I'm super right, and here's why. And you're wrong. You are wrong. Fuck you. And then they'll go into the whole like, I can say what I want, freedom of speech, it's a free country, I didn't mean it, that wasn't my intent, I'm not a homophobe, I just use homophobic language, you don't understand the context, you're an out member, you're not part of my like cluster group where this language is okay, it doesn't matter, language changes, all of these excuses, but fundamentally what they're trying to do is protect themselves from having to examine whether or not they said something hurtful and might be like a person that needs to check their shit. Defensiveness is a totally normal, completely understandable human feeling. Everyone feels this. I feel defensive personally. I feel defensive literally every time I'm criticized for anything. it happens. But it's about how you respond to it. And so what Sir Rafalot is worried about here is that the response to, hey, maybe don't call people by slurs. Maybe don't say that. And having them say, well, like, fuck you. Maybe the problem is you. You're the problem. I'm fine. And then add on top of that all of the complexities that this person might be their boss. There may be a more complex social thing at place here. It's a lot. So how do we deal with this? What do we do? I mean, I quit is what I did. I stopped. And I know obviously that's not like, it's not the solution for everyone, but after 8 years of being in advertising and constantly having to be like, can we not build this campaign around, like, advertising is built on reinforcing normative narratives. It's built on playing off them. We did a campaign once about it was a combination promo for a beer company and an MMA event. And the whole campaign was built around the concepts of testosterone. Yeah, masculinity. It was like we did beer coasters. That said things like, try lifting something heavier than a beer because you're weak. And these guys are tough and cool. There was a put your beer down and man up. Like, you could be tough and cool like these guys. We were shopping all of these ideas, and I very quickly had to be like, well, okay, let's talk about how this is not cool. And I absolutely was in that position where I was like, okay, I'm going to call this stuff out. I'm going to get shouted down. I'm going to be told this is fine and good. I'm oversensitive. And now I'm known as the complainer. So people would say something in a meeting that they knew was not okay, that was hurtful. And then they would just look at me like, you going to complain about this or... And I just got tired of it, right? I got sick of it and I quit. It wasn't the only reason that I quit, but definitely I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Now, obviously you can't just do that. You can't just bail out. We need jobs. We need to work. And then I think the question becomes a broader one, right? The question becomes, so in my experience, culture, the culture in which I live, certainly, I don't know about your culture because it may not be mine. The culture in which I live punishes people for caring about things. If you want to be cool and tough, which is, say, masculine, if you want to be a cool, tough man, because that's the ideal, you have to not give a shit about things. You have to be logical, not emotional. You need to get people to do what you want. That's very valuable. And not to care, because caring is vulnerable, and vulnerability sucks because it's gay. Being vulnerable is super gay and feminine, and there's this whole structural thing that happens, and it's not cool. It's not cool or fun or good, because the way that people actually succeed is by working together and caring about each other and supporting each other. Solidarity is super powerful. However, we're disinclined towards that. So you're going to be in positions where you're the only person that seems to care about shit. So I think the thing is that you have to understand risk and reward, and you have to understand to what degree you are responsible for other people. Yes, somebody that you know going around being racist or ageist or classist or whatever, somebody's going around doing that, it's not okay. It is hurting people. It's hurting people. They don't even realize, probably, right? This is the whole, like, someone who's a homophobe and everyone's a homophobe together and they're all laughing and joking about it. And that's forcing the one gay person to pretend they're not gay and to also joke and be like, yeah, those gays, they're the fucking worst, boy, and to die inside. And so you may not even see the people that are getting hurt, right? This kinds of behavior can often get in-grouped, right? White people saying the N-word when there are no black people around. That doesn't make it okay. It's not all right. But also, like, what are you going to do, right? Like, you are going to be in that position where people will get defensive. And I think that you have to understand the risks involved for you personally, but also, like, stand up, because there's the risk of, like, losing your job, and there's a risk of people disrespecting you, and there's the risk of the pushback. There's the risk of being made an outsider, but there's also the risk of, like, enabling racism. There's the risk of, like, dying inside because you didn't stand up to it, right? And there's a ton of like language around this. There's a ton of kind of like metaphorical shit. Like, this is the whole, like, first they came for the communists, but I was not a communist, so I said nothing. Then they came for the Muslims, and I said nothing because I'm not there's that. And there's also that whole, like, the only thing that is needed for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing, right? So there is that degree, right, where, like, how much are you killing yourself, Sir Raft-a-Lot, when you don't speak up? I don't think anyone is responsible for saving anyone else. We are not Jesus Christ. I mean, even Jesus Christ wasn't Jesus Christ, but you know what I mean? Like, we're not responsible for fixing other people. I am not personally responsible for every shitty, racist white person. I am not responsible for my entire gender, but I am responsible for myself and for what I will tolerate in the world. And I think that is what matters. And I think that it's venue, right? I think that it's like, I mean, I've been on streams with other people where they've said things that I've been like, ugh. I don't want to be a part of a thing where people are talking like this. And I haven't said anything on stream in front of an audience, but afterwards I've been like, hey, so during the stream, you said something that made me really uncomfortable. And, like, it didn't target me directly, but also, like, it made me feel weird and I didn't want to, like, be in that moment. Can we talk about why that, like, felt fucked up for me, and, like, why I feel like that's alienating our audience and why you're hurting people doing that? I think that there are venues for these things. I don't think you have to be the person in that meeting who stands up and points at your boss and is like, sexist, because, like, yes, they are. They're being fucking sexist, but, like, there's a time and a place. And this isn't me excusing not saying it. This isn't me excusing, like, just don't do it. But no, you don't have to do it, like, in the moment. You don't have to scream at them in the meeting. But afterwards, you can be like, hey, man, it's not cool when you talk like that. Like, and I think that what's important here is you're going to get pushback, right? If you're white and they're white and you're like, hey, I don't know if you knew this, but that word is a racial slur. They're going to be like, well, what do you care, man? Bruh. It's just a joke. And there's, like, none of those people working here. And I think what it comes down to is, like, you can express the thing. You can talk about the way that it makes you feel. You can tell them why you are telling them that, right? You can be like, hey, so, like, I don't know, maybe you don't know that this is offensive. You're out there and you're going to make yourself look like a real asshole if you keep doing this. They're going to get defensive. They're going to probably push back. They may be, like, trying to justify their continued use of the thing. And at a certain point, there's nothing you can do. You've told them, right? It's a complicated question. And I think that we all have these questions about our communities. I think we are in these communities where, like, whether it's your guild or your coworkers or your D&D group or your friends or your family, like, there's different structural stuff in place that can change what's appropriate. Like, among my friends, if we're just hanging out, which almost never happens because we're on the internet, but like just among friends, hanging out, having a beer, if somebody says something offensive, I'm gonna be like, whoa, hang the fuck on. Let's talk about why that's not okay. And it will become something we can discuss. But like on a live stream, I won't necessarily bring that up, right? Like understanding these situations. You know, in chat, Cafe Vampire was asking, well, what's the response when someone says, why do you care? You're not part of group of people I was being disrespectful. What are you supposed to say? I mean, I think that often the response that people will try to go for is like, let's try to humanize it, right? Like, if somebody says something transphobic, you might want to say like, hey, asshole, like, I'm not trans, I'm a cis person, but like, I have trans friends. Like, I feel like that's externalizing it. That's the like, well, you know, I think that sexual assault is wrong, not because it's wrong, but because, you know, like, my mom is a woman and my sister's a woman and my wife and my daughters are women. So, you know, for them. But if it weren't for them, if I didn't know any ladies, it'd be a different situation. Like, no, I think the thing is like, do you have to be a part of a targeted group to care about them? Like, you can just say like, this is you're being hurtful. And I am judging you, right? That's what it comes down to, is like, you can be a racist if you want to. You can be a whatever. You can be an ableist. You can be transphobic. You can be homophobic. But like, yo, I am going to judge you, and I'm going to judge how much I want you in my life. I'm going to judge whether I am helping you. Like, the thing is, you are setting yourself up to be lowered in my esteem, and they have to choose whether they value that or not. In a work relationship, it's like, well, you know, how much does that matter, right? How much does that matter to them? Like, if your coworkers don't care about you as a person, is that relevant? I think all you can really do is be like, hey, I'm just telling you this because it seems like you don't know that it's not okay to say this. It's not, and people are going to think poorly of you, including me. So, fucking cut it out. But if someone is using language at your workplace that is directly, like, actually fucking you up, try to use the internal structures that you have available to you. But remember that those structures are themselves inherently problematic, right? They're built on capitalism. Capitalism is built for people with privilege to come out on top. It's a whole thing. So when someone says to you, like, just go to HR, it's like, well, I mean, HR is going to potentially reinforce that stuff instead. I just don't think, like, I don't know. It's for them, it's about risk and reward, and often defensiveness will jump up. Now, I hope that by bringing this stuff up and by saying, like, hey, it makes you feel better, and I hope that it will work. I hope that they don't do that, but I don't know that there is a strategy for fixing this overall in the universe. Like, we have to do this one person at a time. If you can be a good influence on one or two people, maybe they will also do this for you, and it will continue, right? Like, you don't want to be the only one. You want to find allies. There are other people around you that care about this stuff, and maybe you taking a stand is what they need to be brave, right? So I don't know. It's complicated. It's hard getting to a point where you're like, well, I don't know. I quit. I quit. So I don't know what to tell you. But I think being a good person, for whatever value that has for you, is the best start. You be good and you take care of yourself and the people that are around you, and stand up when you need to stand up and set an example. And then likely other people will be inspired. They will see that and they'll be like, hey, Seraphtolot, you're a good person. I'm going to be a good person too. I want to be cool like Seraphtolot and care about stuff. Fucking care about stuff, people. Not caring is not cool. Don't listen to cigarette companies and cowboys and 50s era masculinity with their fucking sunglasses and shit. Ugh, care about things. Care about people. Feel your fucking feelings. God, just feel them. It's okay. You're allowed. All right. Kakeri has a question about family. Kakeri, they said, I am at a crossroads right now. Makes me think of Bone Thugs and Harmony. I'm at a crossroads right now. I know this is a little different from other questions you've gotten, but I'm wondering how I should help my family understand the LGBTQIA plus community. I come from a pretty religious family. They're not really homophobic, but they do say very harsh things about the community, which bothers me a lot. I'm trying to figure out myself, and I'm leaning towards being gender fluid, and I'm pretty comfortable with my sexuality, but whenever my family says things that are negative towards me without knowing, it hurts. Ugh, fuck. I know this feeling so bad. Okay. I want to be able to explain to them why it's rude to say, you see this question in the last one? I want to be able to explain to them why it's rude to say those kinds of things, even if it's in private with family, without coming out to them. I'm not ready for that. And I know that some of my family won't be accepting of me for a while, if ever. So you sit down to dinner and your dad's like, how about those homosexuals? Boy, they sure are fucking gross, aren't they? I just can't. What a boy, queers. They're just. I am so glad that nobody I know or love is a queer person. Shit. That's what a great life that I live where no one I know is one of the gays. And everyone around the table, grandma and mom and dad, and everybody's just like, yes, we agree. The gays are gross. And then here's you sitting there going like, fuck. So, like, first of all, I feel you. I feel you. Oof. It's a thing. I have been in that situation so many times at work or with family or with, I was going to say friends, but I'm not friends with homophobes. People I know, acquaintances. And it's like, this is a thing that I think happens when you're, the things with which people are going to be abusive are not evident on your person. Like, I spent much of my professional life in straight drag. People will look at photos of me from like my early streaming from 3 years ago, my early streaming career, and then look at photos of me now and they're like, man, you got really gay. And I was like, no way, fucko. I've been gay since the beginning. My queerness has been there forever. I just had to hide it under all this like straight costume, right? This happens, I think, a lot of the time to pan and bisexual people who are in straight appearing relationships. Big ups to all my queer people who don't look like queer people on the outside. And it leads back to that whole like locker room in group horse shit where it's like, yo, I am allowed to talk this way because we are in secret company. Welcome to the straight white cabal. Please shut the door so that we have no straight white people in here or no non-straight white people in here. Now, let us use all the forbidden language, right? Let's bust out all the racial slurs. So like, it's not, it sucks. I feel that. And like, for me, to be fair, a great deal of my personal baggage around this comes from being a kid, being young, doing effeminate stuff as a child and getting a really negative response from family members in my life. Being told not to do something because it was queer. That kind of thing. I think the thing is, people teach us whether or not we can trust them when they are candid, right? I think that when we can observe people saying and thinking the things that they say and think when they don't think that someone is going to be around to be offended, that is when we learn how they really feel about things. And that teaches us whether we can trust them. There are people, I mean, the narrative, and I want to talk a little bit about like coming out, because it's a thing that I'm personally like pretty conflicted about. The narrative about coming out is like you do it because you're being true to yourself, and you're being your own, you're living your truth, and you're being who you are all the time in real life. Right? That's a reason to do it. You might come out because for other people, for other queer folks, for other non-binary folks, you are able to show they're not alone. To be openly, visibly queer helps other people who are not yet in that position say, hey, Adam can do it. Why can't I? But like, it's not an on-off switch, right? It's not like you grab the straight curtains and fling them open, and now all the world can see you for the beautiful rainbow non-binary thing that you are, beautiful though it may be. That's not how it works. You come out to people individually and in different ways. You're probably out to your friends because they aren't like your family, right? You might be out to some of your coworkers, but not all of them. You might be out to the whole internet, but haven't had that conversation with certain members of your family about your being queer. And that is fine. It's okay. Not all of us have to be covered in glitter, topless with a megaphone on a pride parade float every day, all day. If that's how you celebrate your queerness, fucking rock on. But like, it doesn't invalidate anyone else's expression. So I guess you're in a position, Kakari, that Seraph a lot was in, where you're like, do I speak up? Do I not? What is the benefit to me and to those around me of being out? You know, you say that some of your family won't be accepting of you for a while, if ever, and you're not ready for it, then don't fucking do it. And I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at them, but don't do it. Don't do it. It's okay. They don't need, you do not need to give them that. Intimacy is a gift. Intimacy is a beautiful gift. And some people don't deserve presents, right? Your coming out is a blessing to the people to whom you come out. Some people, because of the way they act, because of the things they believe, because of the way they are in the world, are not worthy of the gift of your coming out to them. So don't fucking give it to them. Right? Now, if you want to, just like with Raftalot, if you want to, if it would be good for you, if you feel like you would come out the other side feeling better and happier and more real, and like you can help your family become less shitty about this, do it, right? Like, again, to draw the analogy for me, like, I talk about queer stuff on the internet because, yes, it's work. And yes, getting called homophobic slurs every day is hurtful and sucks. But it's worth it for me. It's worth it to be out visibly to my audience. It's worth it for me to field these questions and to have experience and to share that experience with you, even though it's hard. And that's the venue, right? Like I've made that choice about this specific situation. So, I think the thing is, I will say this. I will personally celebrate you and whatever pronouns feel like they work for you and whatever your truth is, Kikari, I'm behind you. But I don't know your life outside of like this paragraph and the few times that we've like talked on the internet. So I cannot tell you what to do. But I can tell you that whatever you're feeling, whether it's true now or true tomorrow or whatever it changes, just that's okay. And not everybody, you don't have to feel like anybody is entitled to your truth, which sounds like a really corny way of just saying like, take care of yourself. Make that decision. Your family is not a monolith. You can talk to the people that you do trust, but you don't have to talk to everybody. Not everybody is entitled to your coming out. Think of it that way, and I hope that will help. It is a gift, and not everybody is going to be deserving of that gift. So that's today's episode. It's episode number 20. It's episode 20 of Hot for Teacher. Thank you for coming and for asking questions. And if you want to ask a question, because one of these three was not yours and none of the other ones we've done have been yours either, Hot for Teacher, you can go to www.adam-koble.com, click on Hot for Teacher, submit a question. We do 3 a week. We alternate between this and office hours because the other thing I really care about is role-playing games. And and that's it. So hopefully this has been helpful to you, Sir Raftalot, Kikari, and Skunk Judge. And maybe the conversation has been interesting to everybody else. Take what I talked about today. Take the things that we said and take these questions, percolate on them, and carry them out into your life and think about how this stuff affects you on a day-to-day basis. Because that's really, really, that's the purpose of these shows, right? I'm not just here for the 3 people that ask questions. I'm here to discuss things and to help all of you kind of like get a handle on communicating and relationships and that kind of thing. So that's it. That's it for me. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. We will see you next time for more. Bye, y'all.